Hello, all you big, beautiful brains out there. Today, we're going to talk about the 5 Gestalt principles. Before we get started, take a minute to subscribe to Psy vs. Psy. Help out your friendly neighborhood psychologist while I'll tell you all about the 5 Gestalt principles. So, your brain organizes things in predictable patterns. Some of these principles we have figured out due to the work of Gestalt psychologists. Gestalt psychologists operate under the assumption that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. So, when you're observing something, the whole of what you perceive is bigger or more than the component parts. A lot of the principles we're going to talk about today are visual. Also, these principles follow this same sort of Gestalt thinking. You can't always see all of everything, and so your brain follows some simple rules to fill in the missing information. Because of their importance in figuring out these predictable brain rules, we call these the 5 Gestalt principles. The first one is called figure-ground relationship. You know when you see a picture on Instagram where the people in the front are really clear and everything in the back is all blurry? That's figure-ground relationship. The stuff in front, or the figure, is separate from the background. Figure ground. Your brain has to be able to separate figures from everything going on in the background. It's important for you to know that the person isn't just a part of the background that they're in front of. Usually, if there's a person or an animal or something there in front of you, you need some sort of information from them. And so it's important for your brain to separate them out, make them special. Where this gets a little weird and kind of tricky is when your brain can't separate what is the figure and what is the background. Like the classic example of faces or vases. Your brain can see either the profiles of two faces or it picks up on the vase in the middle. Either one could be important, so at first it seems like your eyes, or really your brain, is playing tricks on you. The next Gestalt principle we're going to talk about is called proximity. Now, proximity just means how close together two things are. And the principle of proximity operates in much the same way. When we see things that are all clustered together, our brain groups those things together as kind of one big thing. So, say you were an ancient person and you're out hunter-gathering and you see a group of berries on a tree. Instead of telling your fellow gatherer, hey, I see a berry, and another berry, and another berry, and another berry, and another berry, you can just say, hey, there's a whole bunch of berries up there, thanks to the principle of proximity. Your brain will cluster those berries together in the same way, and your fellow hunter-gatherer will understand what you mean. I should point out, it works for things that aren't just all the same, like a group of berries. Say there's a whole pile of things that all your roommates have been throwing on the floor when they come inside the house. You don't necessarily have to notice that in that pile is a sneaker and a backpack and a new bag and some keys and a few groceries and a flip-flop. You just know because they're all there close together that that's the stuff from when people got home. When we group things together that are similar, that's actually a different principle called similarity. Things that are similar, similarity. We tend to group things that are alike together. Like, say we go back to that ancient hunter-gatherer example. You're out hunting one day and you see this. You're going to group those animals that are similar together. So you see a group of rabbits, a group of birds, and a snake. You don't just see one big group of things because they aren't close together. Instead, you group the different important groups of animals together because those animals are similar. All the rabbits are like the other rabbits. The next principle is continuity. When we're out in the real world, sometimes figures might be important, but they overlap. Continuity states that when we see a line heading in a certain direction, we want that line to continue. We want lines to keep going. We see things that are in lines as more related. You actually can see this principle demonstrated quite a bit out in the real world once you start looking for it. Even just simple things like people waiting in a line. When people are all standing in a line, we assume that they're waiting for the same thing. Even recommendations that you get from websites like Amazon or Netflix or YouTube use lines to show you that, hey, this is probably the next thing you're going to be interested in watching. They just line that cue right up. The last one we're going to talk about is closure. Another problem we have out in the real world is that we can't always see the totality of something. We can't always see all of it. The principle of closure gives us the ability to see behind things and fill in gaps of information. This one works a little better if I show you. So, take your hand, finger spread, and put it just a little bit in front of your face. Now, keep looking at my face. Look at my face on your computer or your phone or wherever you're watching me. Does having your fingers in front of your face make parts of my face disappear? Well, no. Your brain has the ability to fill in the rest of my face, even though you can't see through your fingers. Your fingers are getting in the way. That's closure. Our brain fills in the figure based on all the information that it can get. If you want to know more about Gestalt psychologists and the science in the world around you, make sure you subscribe to Psy vs. Psy so you can get all of our other videos and you can learn all about the science of psychology. Until next time, keep thinking, and I'll see y'all later. Bye. Gestalt! Gestalt! Had a little gestalt in my chest.